Welcome back, Mystics. We're back.
Welcome back. You're not kidding. We've got so much to talk about, especially the return of Donald Trump to Twitter. And with him is all of the negativity that comes with him,
All
unfortunately.
of the negativity that you wished for and voted on, Steve O'Mystic.
It's not that. It's not that. It's just that it's not that he's controversial. I liked him the first time, but as Ron DeSantis says, he's just going to wind up punching himself out of the race. So he's in too early. I don't think he's going to succeed, but who knows? I could be wrong.
So Elon Musk tweeted one day ago a poll, reinstate former President Trump. Yes, no. Yes got 52%. No got 48%. I knew yes would win. I voted no.
Of course
And
you did.
And then he tweeted 2 hours ago, "The people have spoken. Trump will be reinstated." And that was that. That's how he's doing business. He's just tweeting and asking.
Well, I would like to do a poll myself. I would like to do a poll. I would like to do a pool actually as to how long it's going to take for Donald Trump to start tweeting because he said he's not going to. And I don't believe him. But I don't really want to talk about Donald Trump. There's like so much other things to talk about.
Yeah, I know. We have a
Yeah.
lot to get through.
Yeah, do you have any topics? Because I've got 6 talking points today.
Well, I sent you a bunch of stuff on Instagram. I wanted to ask you about the sheep walking in a circle for 12 days without stopping and no one knows why in northern China.
Is that real?
I don't know. I wanted to know if you have any theories on it because the same day I saw this video of these ants going in a circle. And it says an ant mill is an observed phenomenon in which a group of army ants are separated from the main foraging party, lose the pheromone track, and begin to follow one another, forming a continuously rotating circle commonly known as the death spiral because the ants might eventually die of exhaustion. And I felt like that was the perfect metaphor for where our culture is right now. We've just lost the plot and we're following each other's pheromones going in this death spiral, and we're all gonna just die following each other.
But that's not what I think of when you say pheromones.
What do you mean?
That's not what I think of. I mean, pheromones are essentially what comes off. I thought only humans. It's probably animals or all animals. That is like the scent you can't smell, but is what attracts you to either a member of the same sex or opposite sex is
But
what
don't
it.
you think that we're, like, doing that over social media? Like, influencers who post pictures are, like, energetically beaming pheromones out into the world wide web that, like, enter you through your device, and then you're, like, following random influencers in a death circle, and, like, no one has any original thought, or no one's following anyone, and it's all, like, this spiral of death?
Just change the channel.
I don't think I well, what do you think about the sheep then? Do you have any
Well,
theories?
I mean, I think that maybe, yeah, if they lost their leader and they're just going in circles because they're lost, okay, so they're going to drive themselves into extinction in a circle. Okay. It's a
Well,
little strange. I never heard of this before.
let me bring up another third thing that I saw in the same day. So Samuel sent me a TikTok of this woman sitting in the water. It looked like in some beautiful tropical destination, maybe Thailand or Jamaica or somewhere like that. And she's sitting in the water and it's crystal clear water and there's palm trees and white sand and you can see this school of fish and they perfectly go in a circle around her, like they're kind of encircling her aura. And the caption on the TikTok is, "This is what it looks like when you're connected." So, like, for some, maybe because this woman is so connected, she has this energetic field, and the fish know to kind of swim around her. So, do you think that the sheep are circling around this unperceived, energetic force field of some kind?
Oh my gosh, that is so creative, Callan. Uh, Probably not. I just looked at the post you sent me. First of all, that looks like Chinese at the top, so I don't know if I believe it. Although my opinion about China has changed a lot since I just spent a lot of time in Asia. But the article you sent me, it says the sheep walked in a circle for 12 days without stopping. Walked meaning they stopped walking.
What do you
So they did it for 12 days and now they're done.
I don't what's your point?
Well, okay, so they did it for 12 days. Now it's over. So, they've moved on. We should move on.
Well, do you think the energetic force field of, like, the alien has moved on?
No, I don't think there's alien force fields or of any kind. No.
You don't think that they were because they finished walking in a circle, you don't think that means that the energetic force has left?
Maybe they were just trying to like walk out like a thought process that they didn't have settled. It's like they were pacing like 12 men on a jury. They're trying to come up with,
Mm.
they're trying to come up with something and they just kept on going in circles. Maybe there was nowhere else for them to go.
Well, there is something that said it could have been because of a disease or something. Although it's not known for sure what caused the sheep to act this way, a bacterial disease called listeriosis has previously been known to cause circling in animals. The disease inflames one side of the brain, which is why circling is sometimes seen. Although the shepherd, or I don't know, the Chinese shepherd guy said that they're
Okay,
all perfectly healthy. So I don't
Callan,
know.
I'm looking at it right now.
Mass hysteria? What do you
I'm
think?
looking at
12
it.
Angry
No,
Sheep?
I'm going to tell you what this. Did you see that movie?
Samuel says, like, the dancing plague of 1518.
I'm. How does he know that?
Samuel knows everything about the past. I think because he lived it,
My gosh. So was Samuel reincarnated?
for sure. I just don't know from where.
Here's what I think about the sheep. Okay, I'm looking at them, and I'll tell you exactly what it looks like. It looks like a pen of sheep with nothing else to do. Some of them are going in a circle. The other ones aren't moving. But here's what I think: if you were, let's say, I don't know, top of a mountain looking down at a sports field and you saw a bunch of people running around a track, what would you say to them? Running around the track.
This brings up such a great point because I was just saying to Samuel, I will never be able to exercise capitalistically. Meaning, I will never be able to go to a gym and have fun. I will never be able to run on a track and have fun. If the exercise is capitalist, I can't do it. If it's like a walk in nature and I'm growing my own food and like honing my own garden, that's the only exercise I'm like able to mentally get through. So I don't know. I think like running on a track is a real human side effect of consciousness. I don't think animals exercise for fun. I could be wrong.
You're probably wrong. I,
You
I
think
think,
animals exercise for
yeah.
like to get fit so they can take like Instagram baddie pics?
No, I think no. Nice try. I think that they do it to feel better.
It's not natural to know that exercise makes you feel better. That's just something we learned. I don't think that's natural. I mean, maybe for some people, I don't think I'm naturally inclined to move my body when I feel not great.
Okay, but if you would move your body when you weren't feeling that great, do you ever hear the saying
Well,
that
that's the human consciousness coming in. Well, we know what we should do. We know what's good for us because 'cause we're smart and we have information sharing capabilities, but we don't know that, you know?
I'm going to share with you one of my favorite Tony Robbins phrases?
Okay.
Emotion is changed by motion.
Mm.
Hmm. That's right. If you want to feel better, get up and move. It works. Riding a bicycle, going for a swim. Not sure how that becomes capitalistic. You'll explain that maybe another time. But I mean, the sheep
Well,
are not all moving. Only some of them are moving. I'm looking at it. Only some of them are moving. The others are just kind of hanging out. Some of them looks like they're jumping on each other. I see a couple having sex over here in the middle. So,
Um, but I the capitalism comes in with gym culture and with athleisure and with, like, what gym
ah,
culture represents. That
okay.
to me is capitalistic. And sports to a certain extent, like high school through college through whatever, the, pro sports leagues. I think, like, sports are capitalistic in many ways.
Okay, they are. But I want you to know something. This whole gym phenomena, all these fitness places, this is just like the last decade or so. When I was a teenager, there was the YMCA. There was no gym. I mean, there was no Planet Fitness. You know,
Right, right.
this is all kind of new. So, um,
Yeah.
yeah. So I understand your capitalistic thing. By the way, speaking of capitalist, this is actually not capitalist. This is kind of socialist to some people. But I want to talk about Alexandria Ocasio
Oh my
Cortez.
gosh, the podcast I posted, so glad you're bringing this up. I thought it was an incredible podcast she did. Is that what you're bringing up?
Definitely not. Why would I listen to her podcast?
I was not a fan, and I tweeted, I said, "I can admit my indifference to AOC has largely been shaped by my cynicism and cynical media commentary over the last couple of years or so. However, this is a great watch and reminds me why she is one of the best people leading our country today, and it's her The Breakfast Club AOC interview, and I think it's great. I think she's brings up a lot of great points. I really am back on her train.
I'm not
So go
against
on."
her. Okay, I'm not against her, okay? And I find her strangely attractive. This
Oh,
is
okay.
yeah, and then she's made a comment that everyone in Congress just wants to get with her. So it's like it's not that they don't like her,
Whoa, are you
they want to get with
sure?
her. She said that.
Are you sure?
She's probably not wrong.
Are you
Although
sh
oh, no, this is a fact. She has definitely said that her enemies in Washington, they're only her enemies because she won't sleep with them. She's definitely said that. And by the way,
I that
she's
just
probably not half wrong. The problem
no.
is
No, no, no,
Washington's go ahead. Go ahead.
she's not wrong, of course, but she would never say
Even I
that.
like her.
I don't think she would say that, though.
She did say it. I thought it over for a minute. I'm like, Washington is about as gay a city as you can find. So here's what I want to know. So how does she get to call herself a woman of color? Because if she was standing next to me, clearly I would be darker than her.
You just spent months in Asia.
Oh no, wait a second. I was darker than just about every Vietnamese person I met and spoke to. I mean, I even put my arm up against theirs,
That's because 'cause that's 'cause you're a tourist, so you want the sun, you're in the sun, you're tanning. They're used to the sun. And don't give me this, "I'm from Florida," whatever. Vietnam's hotter than Florida.
the sun was about the same intensity.
You think?
Okay, yeah. The sun okay, I just had this out with a friend of mine down here as soon as I got
Mm.
back because he saw me at the Publix and I was wearing a dungaree jacket with the collar up and of course my Stetson and he's like, "Why are you wearing a jacket? It's 90 degrees out." And I said, "Because it's 90 degrees out. The sun is 160 degrees." And he didn't believe me. So I told him to take his thermometer off the wall and put it out in the sun and in 10 minutes come back and tell me what the temperature was. And it was 167 degrees in the sun. It's the same in Vietnam.
What's a dungaree jacket? Is that just a denim jacket?
It's a denim jacket.
Because when I hear dungarees, I think overalls. That's what they call overalls in the UK.
Okay, well,
So you
when
call so you
I
call
was a
it a
child.
Oh, sorry,
Yes.
sorry, yes.
When I
No,
was
I
a
loved the "When I Was
child,
a Child."
nobody used the word jeans. I don't know where that came from.
Samuel says, "What?"
They were never called jeans.
Are
They
you
were called
sure?
Yes, they were called dungarees.
Alright, I
I
don't
mean,
know about this.
they were and it wasn't until Levi's came out that they actually started calling them Levi's dungarees.
Mm, so when do you think people started calling them jeans?
Probably about the same time they started capitalizing gymnasiums.
Um, but Levi's came out in 1873.
They did. Maybe I'm thinking of Calvin Klein's. I mean,
Maybe when Levi's popularized? I don't know. Oh, Sam's coming in with the facts. Levi's popularized in the 1950s or so.
that's about right. That's about right.
But
And my wardrobe, I was
you were
born in
born in the
1960.
60s.
Well, the beginning of 60. I was born in
Mm,
March of 60.
yep.
So but I'm a 60s child for sure. I mean, I grew up with hippies.
Were your parents hippies?
Definitely not.
Really?
No, my older sister was. I think the hippies are, let's see, let me just count the hippies now are about 71 to 75 years old.
Yeah, that sounds right.
But I want to know, what is white? What is white to you? Because Alexandria, first of all, I want you to know, Alexandria Ocasio Cortez spent her whole life being called Sandy Cortez. Okay, this whole Alexandria Ocasio, this is all theater. Her name is Sandy Cortez.
I'm gonna assure you, no one under 40 goes by Sandy in the world.
She was. She
That's
was.
like saying that people are still named Susie.
I know plenty of Susies.
Samuel says that race was invented by white people.
What is white? What is white? Most of the Afghans are whiter than me. I mean, what is white?
White
But
is just audacity.
Right,
Wh-
white is whatever you think of when you think of white people in quotations.
white is what is the color of chalk on a blackboard. That's white.
We missed a question. Steve, how would you summarize your own style?
Style of what?
Your clothes.
Um, I mean, like I'm a teenager from the '70s. You
Patchwork
know,
Levi's.
I mean, no. Let's see. I
Steve, I catch
mean,
you wearing cowboy hats sometimes.
Mhm.
what are you
Little
talking about? Of
fedora.
course, I have hats.
You know what I'm
Fedora
talking about,
here and there.
cowboy hats.
I've got cowboy hats. I have a Stetson 4X Beaver. I mean, it's like the top of the line. But I got fedoras. I've got what was it, a Stacy something? I mean, I've got leather hats. I've got suede caps. I mean, I got about
Hmm.
12 hats.
Couple Ray-Bans.
No, I don't even know. I don't even know what you said. Stacy Adams. I think it's Stacy Adams. Stacy Adams. I have a Stacy Adams fedora leather suede hat. I used to wear it in San Francisco because it got cold. Did you ask me about Ray Bans?
Yeah.
What's the other one with the O? It's Ray Ban and there's the other
Oakley.
one, Oakley's. My preference is Oakley's, but they break. So the Ray Bans I love, but the Ray Bans I have, Joe Biden wears. So it kind of pisses me off that he's wearing Ray Bans because I wear Ray Bans, and I wouldn't anyone. God forbid. Did you see he put his nose up against like a 3-year-old boy and was sniffing it, and then his eyes looked up, like he was satanic at the boy's back. Oh, that just happened. I saw it on. It may not be real, but I saw it, and it's so.
I think he was just checking his
Everyone
nose still works.
He was
everyone's
rubbing his nose on the back of a young boy. It's like, ah, his own son calls him Pedo Pete or something. There's something going on here.
I don't know, everyone's satanic these days.
Putin is a man of peace.
No, that's just an that's just a funny joke.
I want to know something. I'm switching topics. Okay, I want to know something. Can you complete the phrase? Sticks and stones will break my bones, but words.
I was gonna say, "But chains and whips excite me." Rihanna, a classic.
She didn't. That's not hers.
She wrote it.
That's way older than her.
Sticks and Stones. I think that's just been around
But
since
let's.
this.
But I want to stick with you here. I have a plan. Sticks and stones can break my bones, but names will never.
But words can also hurt me.
I can't believe you saying that.
What?
You're f- because you're from the participation trophy crowd. That's what the. That's what it is.
Wait. Yes, and Steve, you're so right about the participation crowd. I was just cleaning out my parents' house, my bedroom in my parents' house, and I see this huge cork board full of like all my accomplishments, old photos, all these things. And wait, let me retell this story. Sorry. Cut, and I gotta retell this because it's really funny if I tell it right. Okay, so I
Wait a
was
second.
cleaning
Don't cut. I like the mistakes.
So I was at my parents' house and I'm cleaning out my bedroom and there's this cork board and there's this whole cork board of pictures and accomplishments and stuff, and there's these ribbons from a swim meet, and there's two red ribbons and you can see that they say second place, and then there's one green ribbon that says swim whatever, and it's covered up by a photo, so you assume that that one green ribbon says first place, and I took off the photo of me and it says participant.
What does that all mean as far as motivation levels as an adult? Do you feel that it's interfered, or, I mean, do you have the motivation of a person who strives to win?
Yeah. I'm fine because I was never any good at sports. So it helped me. It maybe hurt kids who could have tried and been better, but I was terrible as hard as I tried. I trained year round swimming and I sucked. I loved the participation award. I think it
Wait
did
a
me a
minute.
lot of good. I think I would have
You were a
really
swimmer?
I was a swimmer for years from the time I was like 10, no, 8 to 16. And
And
it
you
was
don't remember winning any races?
No, I remember crying, I remember having, butterflies in my stomachs, I remember them putting me up against the fastest girl on our team, I remember being humiliated, I remember all the boys from the boys' swim team would come and time our meets, and so all the boys I had crushes on were in the pool timing me, and you're in high school, you're in a bathing suit and a swim cap, you look crazy, you're
Yeah.
so vulnerable. You're naked basically in front of all your friends and family and everyone you have crushes on. It's like a nightmare. Swimming is a nightmare. It really is.
Well, it definitely was not for me because I won every single race I was ever in. So it's
Oh my
I
god.
can't relate.
What was your stroke?
Freestyle and breaststroke,
Really?
freestyle and breaststroke,
That was mine
and
too.
I
Breaststroke
also
was
was a
mine too.
diver. I also was a diver.
Okay, I didn't know you were fantastic.
I
I
was.
feel
I
a
was
little
trained
ashamed.
by. Oh my gosh! And by the way, it wasn't just me. It was the whole neighborhood that I came from was all sports related, especially swimming. In fact, one of my all time best friend, super idols of my entire life, Steve Ashkenazi, he was on the swim team, and
Was he a
now I'm.
st- was
Go
he a
ahead.
stoner?
Oh, one of the best.
Because I have a running theory and it seems like it's generational and it's It works for all generations. I think swim boys are stoners, and
Okay,
swim girls maybe too.
but this wasn't we weren't stoners at the time. I mean, we were kids,
Right, right, but
as opposed to Brittany Griner, who's going to lose her life.
Brittany Griner, oh my gosh, free Brittany Griner. I'm very passionate about this. I think
Oh, they're
about
going to
her
free
every
her.
day.
They're going to
You
free her, but
think?
Putin.
She had a little bit of hash in her pen. She's been in Russia for, like,
How
a
much was a
long
little? How
time.
much was a little?
It's in a
It, w-
pen.
it was multiple cartridges.
No, I thought it was, like,
Multiple
a really small
cartridges. No.
either way,
Yeah.
it's ridiculous. Either I don't care if she had her suitcase full. I mean, it's crazy.
No, she
It's
made
ma
a mistake.
it's marijuana. I think Americans just forget,
One
uh
second. 1 second. It's not the flower marijuana. It's the cartridges of liquid THC. Okay,
Right.
in Florida, you could still go to prison for that. It's a class 3 drug. That's much different than marijuana. Now, to me, dabs are where it's at. Okay, they're where it's at. There's just no doubt about it. There's no better high. The problem is, it's a class 3 drug. It's on the same level as far as sentencing in America right now as heroin.
I mean, why are they choosing her out of all people? Don't you think they could have
She
busted?
chose the crime. They didn't choose her. She chose this crime.
It feels like she was targeted.
Oh, well, let's get right down to it. And she's black.
Right,
Let's
right,
get that. Let's get to it. So
right.
she's a black athlete, and I don't know what her star status was because I never heard of her until she was arrested. And
Same, but that's a bigger cultural problem about how no one watches women's sports. I don't watch any sports, so I'm out of that conversation,
I've
but
watched women's volleyball.
oh my god, I
I'm
don't
just
wanna know
kidding. Yeah,
why.
I'm really just kidding. That's got to be like the slowest, boringest sport. Although I have seen girls, I have seen girls throw a softball, and some of those girls are scary.
Yeah, no, I know. I know.
Yeah, you're not getting no participation trophy playing with those girls.
No, 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 no.
Okay, so let's get back to the sticks and stones things because you finished it the new way, but it used to be sticks and stones can break my bones, but names will never harm me. And that was how you were supposed to deal with a potential fight when you were a kid. Okay. It- that was how you didn't fight. So now what you're saying is words harm you. So that means what? You get to punch somebody in the face if they say they don't like you. I mean, look where
No,
we're going here.
sticks and stones can break my bones, but words can also hurt me. Meaning words can sometimes be just as harmful as physical pain.
No, they cannot be.
I
Okay,
don't know. I
okay, wait a
disagree.
second, wait a second, wait a second. Okay, they can be. Okay, if we're talking like emotional abusing people and
Mhm. Mhm.
yeah, okay. But those are more than words. There's emotion, there's anger involved. I mean, yeah, I don't know. This is a slippery slope, but this
Sticks and
is.
stones.
I don't like the topic anymore. I don't like the topic anymore. You totally blew it up.
You don't have a leg to stand on, so we're
Apparently.
switching the topic?
Oh, now you calling me a cripple?
I have a question because Samuel and I went on a little field trip and we went to the Mormon museum and we went to the Freemason temple in Salt Lake City
You did?
and we're noticing all these little things and we found a book at the Great Salt Lake State Park or whatever, and we found this book and it was saying that Joseph Smith, the guy who invented Mormonism, it came from a Freemason family in New York.
No kidding.
So we're kind of putting all these pieces together, but we don't know exactly what we're piecing together. It just feels like maybe, and a lot of the imagery in this Mormon museum is like extremely Freemason like, it's all Freemasonry. The founder of the Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints, that's LDS, came from a Freemason family in Palmyra, New York, and those symbols he was familiar with, like the all-seeing eye for the Illuminati and, the compass, are found in the stonework of the original LDS temple in Salt Lake City.
Mhm. Mhm.
So we had a day, right? We went to the Salt Lake Visitor Center, then we went to the museum, the Mormon Museum, then we went to the Freemason Temple. But we basically get to this visitor center in Salt Lake. It's like $5 to get in. It's real dingy. It looks really run down. It smells terrible because the lake is drying up and it's polluted and it's awful. And we get in, and it's like this motorhome, dingy visitor center, right? Like, we go in, the floor is creaking.
You mean
There's
like
a
a
90s.
trailer? You mean
Yeah,
like a tr
basically. There's this guy working and, like, all these real kind of, like there's this 90s DVD that's, like, glitching and playing on a loop, and there's saltwater taffy that's, like, 100 years old, and it's just, there's this kind of big cylinder of this so-called brine shrimp, which are the only organism that live in the Great Salt Lake, and they look extremely extraterrestrial. So, anyways, I'll get to that. But we sit down, we're watching this 90s DVD on loop. Oh my gosh, Steve. This is like next level. We're not even expecting to like find anything. We've had our thoughts about extraterrestrials for a while, but we sit down and this guy is talking about the Great Salt Lake and the history of it, and he's like, "If you think some of the humans are crazy, just wait till you see about the locals."
Oh my gosh.
Sam and I look at each other, we're like, "I'm sorry, did I just hear that correctly?" No, no, he said,
You
"If you
already
think."
believed that the last time I talked to you.
But it was so I mean, who says that in a DVD? It was really weird. It was like a film. It was like we sat down and he was saying the craziest stuff. He's like, "If you think the humans who live here are wild, just wait till you meet the locals." Winked, and then it went to the next scene. Like, it was so mischievous and crazy, and there was all this imagery of the brine shrimp, like vintage imagery, and they look extraterrestrial. Yeah, humanoid. They look humanoid, and there's a lot of weird
Are you
stuff.
talking like an alien face? You know, like the upside down pear face?
No. No,
Like
no, no,
Melania
not
Trump's face? You know, that alien look?
no, no, no. We think that the brine shrimp are like they're real minuscule. They look like tadpoles, they're really tiny, and they're
Oh,
and
the
they look
shrimp.
they look extraterrestrial. I mean, they look
Hmm.
crazy. But they're breeding them. They're breeding them in the lake, and they're a multi-billion-dollar business. They sell them to Asia, they sell them all over the world, and they grow in the lake.
Briny shrimp. Okay, I'm looking it up. I'm looking it up. Okay, briny shrimp. Briny shrimp
Brine
and
shrimp.
eggs. Oh, wait a minute. Is that the little seahorses?
Brine shrimp, they don't look like seahorses, they look like little microbial dust mites.
Yeah, well, it's very weird down there in the water, in the depths.
Well, listen, I don't know if I really am, like, believing in aliens, but the vibes, the energy
Oh,
in
wait a
this place
second. Wait a
are
second.
weird.
You know that I was not a believer in any of this stuff, but just since the last time we spoke, Saturn is now visible in the night sky. Did you know that?
I have been looking at a lot of, satellites, I think, so I don't know what is star
Well,
and what is planet.
Saturn has the rings around it, and you know, Saturn,
Yeah, but you can't see the rings.
you can. You can. If you have a telescope, you can. It's behind the
It's
moon.
right.
Yeah, it's coming up behind the moon. When the moon comes out, you could see the ring. I don't know what the ring consists of, but I want to get. I want you to know that Saturn Day, right, is what we're calling
Mhm.
Saturday.
Right.
So it's said that the Hebrews, the Israelites, and you know the worshippers of that day were worshiping the Saturn day.
Oh my gosh, do you think that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday are all for a different planet?
Monday is the moon, Tuesday is
Moon.
Mars, Wednesday is Mercury, Thursday is Jupiter, Friday is Venus, Saturday is, as you said, Saturn, and Sunday is the sun, which
Mm.
is
You
presumed.
know, I've always said I really do think that Sundays are sunnier. I've
Hang on a
always
second.
thought that, and
Hang
no
on a
one believes
second.
me.
Unless July 4th comes out on a Sunday, then it's going to be raining. But did you say that Venus Day is Friday?
Yeah.
That explains why women are so horny on Friday nights. But do you know that men know that if you're going to go out and expect to meet a girl and go home with her or wherever, it's going to be on a Friday?
That's because by Saturday she's hungover.
I don't know if that's the reason. I think it's definitely more esoteric than that.
Steve, what day of the week were you born?
March 9th, 1960. I think it's a Wednesday. And what is Wednesday again?
Wednesday was Mercury.
Mercury. Isn't that
So the hottest.
the Mercury?
Yeah, because it's the closest to the sun.
Is Mercury also
The
associated with
smallest.
Hermes? Is Mercury associated with Hermes?
Hermes.
Is that how you say it?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you were born on a Wednesday, Steve.
Yeah, I thought so. 9:30 p.m. But wait a second. You know who Hermes is, right? I
The
think you.
designer? The bag? The women's scarves
Wait a second. There's a
and
line of
bags?
clothing called Hermes? That's like blasphemy.
It's an Olympian deity.
No, you got him right. He's an ancient Greek um, deity. Yeah.
Hmm. I see where you're going with this.
Wait a second. Why did I bring up Hermes though?
Because it's, mercurial.
This is what happens when two people with ADHD try to do a podcast.
Don't diagnose me, not on the pod.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I'm just talking about myself because that's the excuse I've used. That, that, and of course, I've self-diagnosed as having adult onset um, Asperger's.
You do not have Asperger's.
Adult onset
That
Asperger's,
means they come on whenever he wants.
right? Okay, so Hermes is also associated with Thoth, Thoth, Thoth,
Toth?
Thoth, right?
The Egyptian god?
The Egyptian god, who, by the way, some people believe is the author of Genesis.
I thought Genesis came from Mithraism.
How do you know about that? Like, how do you know that? Wait a second. Sam's really impressing me here. How do you know about Mithraism?
I've just read it in books.
Okay, well, all right. I'm gonna have a problem with my friend Pete about this because he's not gonna like what I'm saying here. But the worshippers of Mithras are the ones who essentially put the Bible together in 325 AD, and this is when they gave Christianity to the populations, and they continued to worship Mithras in secret.
Right, it was abolished in Roman times, right?
It was abolished for the population, but not for them.
So
Hmm.
for us regular folk, what
There's nothing regular about either one of us, but continue.
what are you guys talking about? You mean where are my disciples?
Okay,
What's
the
Mithraism and where's Peter and Matthew and Mark and
the
John?
the reason I'm not answering that. The reason I brought that up, the reason I brought that up is because you found out in your day trip that the Mormons were founded by the Freemasons. Okay.
Yeah.
Now we also know that we talked about the Scientologists that they were founded by the Freemasons. Remember?
Whoa. I don't remember that actually.
You don't? We,
No.
Callen, Mithraism was like the original opposition to Christianity back in the early days.
unless it was the original religion that was out there or the practice that was out there, and then Christianity was created at that time.
Right. As an anti-Mithraism, as an alternative to Mithraism?
There's a lot of theories as to why, but I think it was just to control the population. There wasn't really a lot of food, so if you wanted to, if you had too many children, you had to give your female children to the church and your boys to the army, and then there had to be a reason to fight. So one of the first reasons to fight was to go back to Jerusalem and free Jerusalem from the infidel that took over Jerusalem. There was so many things. This is essentially the destruction of the Roman Empire and their desire to keep it running, which of course some people believe exists still to this day. That's what people believe.
People believe the Roman Empire still exists today.
Many people do, yeah.
Define many.
I mean, it's hard to say because the Freemasons, okay, the Masons, let me back up. The Freemasons are Masons, and the Masons are the builders of the temples that go back to antiquity. So you can even look in the Bible where Solomon wants to build his temple, so he goes to I forgot the guy's name at the moment, Hiram, who was a Mason, and he cut a deal with the Masons to build the temple. So the Masons have been around much longer than people think. Where the word Freemasons came from, they must have been in captivity at some point. I mean, I would know, I should know this, I don't, but I will by the time we have our next podcast. But ultimately, they must have been enslaved or somehow disbanded or incarcerated, and then they became free. Then they became the Freemasons. But the reason why I brought this up is now that the Mormons were established by Freemasons. Um, we discussed Scientology, yes.
We talked about Scientology, but we didn't talk about it in relation to Freemasonry.
Okay, well, the founder of Scientology is a Freemason. Just so you know. So the reason why I brought that up is because I opened up my friend's Bible, and we are having a discussion, and right on the front page, it was of the King James version. It said edited by Francis Bacon. Well, Francis Bacon is a Freemason, and there's a lot of people that believe,
Whoa.
yeah. So for Freemason, edited the King James Bible, how much credibility can we put into it? This is news to you?
This is news to me. I mean, Samuel's always said some people think that they rewrote history,
Oh no,
but I didn't know.
they rewrote all of it.
I've heard the Masons have rewritten history since like the 1200s, 1300s or something, and everything since then is just a jumble of narratives.
Not unlikely. I want to look this up right now. Or Sam, do me a favor, look it up and just put Francis Bacon, Bakin. I think it's spelled. Oh no, it's Pacon.
Bacon. All
Sorry.
right.
Francis Bacon, Bakin, is a band that Clementine and Gretchen formed in their early musical collaborations, and somehow that spelling has stuck with me, even though it's incorrect.
I mean, there was also a painter called Francis Bacon.
Right.
It's sorry, I just wanted to interject. I can't find evidence that Sir Francis Bacon rewrote the King James version of the Bible, but there is also claims that he wrote all of Shakespeare's plays.
That's a fact. He did. That's a fact. William Shakespeare, they said, was an idiot and was a second-rate actor, and that's why
And that is why he's married to Anne Hathaway.
Who's Anne Hathaway?
there's a big theory because, this is just a quick diversion, but Shakespeare and Anne Hathaway had a love when they were together back in the day, and then there's all these thoughts that, like, Anne Hathaway now is Shakespeare reincarnated, or, like, Shakespeare's Anne Hathaway reincarnated, and Anne Hathaway's husband now looks a lot like Shakespeare.
Okay, well,
But if you don't know who Anne Hathaway is from Shakespearean time or from now,
isn't there an Anne
I don't
Hathaway
know.
actress?
Yeah, that's what I'm that's what I'm talking about from Interstellar, and The Princess Diaries, more widely known. But there's this whole thing because her husband looks like Shakespeare, and Shakespeare said, "I will find you, Anne Hathaway. I will find you in the next life." And now there's this famous actress, Anne Hathaway. Anyways,
She
if
looks like
Shakespeare
she's
was an
Black
idiot
Irish.
anyways, so Shakespeare was an idiot? Can we get that on record?
That's what, according to Francis Bacon and his boys, they chose William Shakespeare because first of all, he lived in a different country. They were using their writings and their plays to try to subvert the government. I don't know if it was a king or what it was back then, but they were trying to overthrow with the revolution. And if he would have said the things that he was saying in his home country, he'd have been hung. So he used Shakespeare from another country to subvert where he lived. This is the story.
I once saw a Broadway play called Something Rotten, and they portrayed Shakespeare as this like rock star, idiot, kind of like villain type, which I thought was pretty
I'm
good.
looking at Anne Hathaway. She's pretty pretty. She's good looking.
Wait. We're not done talking about the Freemasons.
We're not. Well, we're still
No.
talking about
We
them. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you what's happening right now is all of a sudden there's no more talk from Americans or from Western leaders about the New World Order. But who are they talking about forming the New World Order now? It's Putin. They keep on saying it in all the news. Oh, Putin's forming a new world order. This multipolar order, and they just keep on saying different words, but it means the same thing. The new world order. It's coming.
Is Putin a Freemason?
My God. I
What is this new world order? What is that supposed to imply? Because I see this everywhere, and it's so conspiratorial and kind of
okay. The new world order.
what is that?
It's kind of like the John Lennon song. Imagine no countries, no borders, one world boss.
I don't think John Lennon said one world boss. I think he said no war, peace.
Well, what he said was, imagine no countries, nothing to
Down,
kill or die for, no religion.
down.
Down what?
I'm down for all that. I just am not down for invading other countries.
I mean, how is Putin creating a new world order if he's caring so much about borders? And
Yeah, and, like, caring so much
isn't that
about
the
his territory. That's the
it's the
opposite
opposite of the sentiment?
Well,
of John Lennon.
because you're only looking at the process and not the end result. The end result
Uh,
is that,
but the
hold on,
a process through violence will
of
never
course
yield
it
that end
has
result.
to be
No,
violent.
no. The intention is more important than the way things play out. If the intention is peace and love, then everything will reflect
That's
that. If
not
the
the
intention is
intention. The intention is
the intention is war
subjugation.
and violence.
No, the
Well,
intention is
then you're
subjugation of the
gonna
populations.
subjugation begets more subjugation, and war begets war. And if you don't go at it with a intention of love and peace, you're never gonna have no borders.
Yeah, well, while you're talking about love and peace, everyone else is getting killed around you.
Well,
Hello? Hello? Hello?
why can't everybody just sit down and be quiet and start farms? Why are we fighting each other
We're
and
not
not
fighting
catching
each
on?
other. We're all peace and love here. I mean, I'm all
No,
about
we're
peace and
not.
love.
We're sending billions of dollars in aid to Ukraine so that they can chuck it out somewhere else.
We're
We're
not
not
doing
peace
that.
and
The
love
Nazis that
here.
run our government are doing it. We're
Oh
not doing
my
that.
god.
Well, we're all about peace and love, and I'm going to the beach and I'm riding my bicycle and I'm enjoying my life. There's other people that are trying to bring about the New World Order.
It's all the same thing. You're enjoying your life in Florida, boom, there's a hurricane. You're enjoying your life in Da Nang, boom, there's a hurricane. Why? Because the global leaders of our country are gonna burn us to a crisp because they don't care about us. So this new world order might come, but it might come when we're all dead.
Okay,
And
hold on.
maybe
Let's
no,
get something straight here. There's no
maybe no borders and no countries is really code for mutually assured destruction. That's no borders and no countries. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about peace and love, man.
yeah,
One Pangea.
yeah, I'm all about that myself, but that's not the plan. That's not the plan. The plan is to blow up half of the country here, all of the major cities, which is probably why they've been allowed to go into disrepair. But the plan is to blow up all the major cities in America,
Whose plan is that? Whose plan is that?
the New World Order.
Who's running that? Putin?
Definitely not.
So
He's a pawn. He's a pawn. He's in place. He's going to do exactly what they expect him to do. He's not necessarily consciously a part of it, but he's certainly one of the chess pieces that they're moving on the board.
And who's the player?
Well, it's going to go back. It always goes back to the Rothschilds. It always goes back to the Rothschilds. They're the makers of war and peace.
they're the holders of the money.
They funded the American Revolution. They funded the American Civil War. They funded both sides of the American Civil War. They funded Napoleon. They are the funders of war. Countries and leaders borrow money to go to war. Who do they borrow the money from? The bankers. Who are the bankers? Well, there's many bankers, but a lot of people here talk about George Soros. George Soros works for the Rothschilds.
Sam just says they're funding the shrimp farming in Utah. Is that true?
No, I was joking.
Okay, never mind. I was getting really confused then.
They might be. But the plan is for them to have total control. And they can't have control with a free, wild America. But first of all, the free, wild America was taken over by the Nazis after World War II. We've got to get that established and straight before we go any further. The Nazis run the American government, period.
Give me an example and define a Nazi while you're at
Okay, I'll define a
it.
Nazi. A Nazi is a person who served in the SS or one of the other Gestapos in Nazi Germany in the 1940s. And when the war started to come to an end, as all wars do, the elite and the people at the top of the chain, they jump off and they let everybody else kill each other and destroy the evidence. Exactly what's happening in Ukraine.
Last episode, you said there are Jewish Nazis too. So
Of course.
I thought I knew what a Nazi was, but explain that because that seems like an oxymoron from my education.
Okay. A Nazi is a member of the Nazi Party from Germany in the 1940s that then came to America after the end of the war.
Why? We were opposed. I don't what do you mean?
Well,
How did they
We employed the Nazis after the World War II. Well, the Americans did,
right.
not me.
Hold on, Sam. You're not getting out of this. who, where, who do you think funded the Nazis? It came from England, where the Rothschilds were based. The
Mm,
Queen is German. The Queen
what?
is German.
I'm not following.
The Queen is German. Look at her. Long live the Queen.
R.I.P.
But you want examples of the Nazis. I'm going to give you one. The inventor. Okay, you've heard of Albert Einstein. You haven't heard of Albert Einstein?
I thought that was so rhetorical. You just keep going.
Wait a second. Yes or no? Do you know who Albert Einstein was?
I thought I did, but if you tell me he's a Nazi, then I'm not. I don't know.
No, he was a German scientist, but because he
Yeah,
was
I know. I know.
Jewish, escaped from Germany in the 1940s to America. But it was more important to America and the military industrial complex to fight the Russians. That's their prize. They've been after Russia since they overthrew Tsar Nicholas.
Because America is more afraid of communism than fascism. That's
America
funny.
created communism. Vladimir Lenin operated out of New York. This is all done by the banks, and none of this is spontaneous. None of it. The creator of the V 2 rockets that rained down on Sam's grandparents and great grandparents in London, the V 2 rockets were created by Werner von Braun. Okay, he was the one who created the V 2 rocket, and at the end of the which killed who knows how many tens of thousands of Englanders, okay? Peaceful civilians, not military targets, which is how you know they're Nazis. Not military targets, civilians. Okay. At the end of the war, he came to America, and guess what his job was? He founded NASA. NASA.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. But you said that targeting civilians and children is a clear Nazi sign. Isn't Russia targeting Ukrainian civilians and
Definitely
children?
not.
Aren't they bombing train stations and killing it? Isn't that a clear sign? I mean, how are you not arguing that there's Nazis on both sides? I mean, what is this term of Nazi?
No, in Ukraine, they're using American weapons to target civilians and civilian infrastructure. What's
Yeah,
happening now with Russia is Russia, after the bombing of the Crimean Bridge, they've taken off the gloves and they're destroying Ukraine. They are destroying Ukraine. There is not going to be Ukraine. It's going to be dust.
but the word not is that just code for villain? Like, what does that mean to you? What does that
Okay,
mean to the wider what do you think that means to most people on the planet today? And why is it such a
okay. Well, what it means is, okay. Well, it's essentially white supremacy.
because to me, what I learned in school is that a Nazi is just anti-Jew. That's, like, what I learned a Nazi to
That's
be.
so easy. It's so easy to stop the inquiry into what really is a Nazi by bringing up the Jews. It's like, okay, if 6 million Jews were killed, 60 million Russians were killed. I'm not trying to minimize the Holocaust, but it wasn't just about the Jews.
So, but what you're basically saying is that Nazism is nationalism. And all of the
It
effects
was
and murder
Back
and
then it was
everything that
back
comes
then it
with
was
it.
National Socialism, but again, it's a banker's war. Hitler was funded by the Federal Reserve in America. They broke the stock market in 1929. They raised interest rates. They took all the money. They drained all the money out of the American stock market, sent it through England and Switzerland, and created the German Nazi Party. They built Hitler. They funded Hitler, and the plan was for him to go and take over Russia. And then, of course, they were going to kill him. But
Well, Russia funded Donald Trump, and the plan was for him to go take over America and create a nationalist state and destroy America. So, I mean, what's the real difference?
I have a hard time with that because Trump really did a lot for the country. He brought a lot of people together. I went to a Trump rally with a guy from Boston who was a Protestant, a black guy who had served time in prison, and a guy from Cuba. So there was a Jew, a Cuban, a black guy, and a pasty faced white boy.
All united by their hate and anger.
Are you kidding me? A Trump rally is like a love fest. You should experience one, and you'd understand. It's really like a rock concert.
All political rallies are rock concerts. Okay. I went
I
the
just love
Bernie
going
rallies
there.
the
Oh
Bernie
my God,
rallies were
Bernie!
good. They
Bernie
were lit.
probably could have beat him.
The Bernie rallies were so fun. Rallies are a little scary though. You feel a little like, "Oh, this is scary." It
Okay,
feels
so I finally found the picture on my Instagram of who the Nazis that came to America. Okay, so you
yeah.
got Werner von Braun, who was the head of NASA. Then you got Walter Hastrom, became the head of the EU Commission. Then you've got Adolf Hausinger, who was NATO Chief of Staff. And then, of course, Kurt Waldheim, who was Secretary General of the United Nations. So, who won World War II? It was not America, it was Russia. That's who won World War II. The Nazis were defeated by Russia. America only got into the war to stop Russia from getting at all the German scientists that were going to be able to take over America.
My hot take is I don't think anybody ever wins war. It's not like
The
there's a
bankers
game.
win. The
The bankers always
bankers,
win, but no country ever wins a war. You never win violence. It doesn't work like that.
because
Winning
they
a
don't
fight.
want one country.
Think
They don't
about
want countries. They don't
think
want
about
countries.
being in middle school and being like, "Oh, who won the fight?" Nobody won. If you're fighting, you both lose. That means you're both, have insufferable
Oh
parents
no,
who
there's no
don't love
participation
you and
trophies in fights. Oh
no.
no. No, no, no.
But you both lose. You both in my day, you both end up on a flip phone YouTube video and it goes viral for everyone to see, but nobody wins. You just, maybe the person uploading the video, the third party bystander, the overarching God presence third bystander is the winner. The
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Have you ever actually been in a fight?
I've got sisters.
Exactly. So the answer is
I've
no.
been
The answer
I've
is
been
no.
I've been kicked around a little,
Okay.
okay?
So you've never like been in a schoolyard where there's 150 people and all of a
Steve,
sudden you're
Steve,
yeah.
do you think I've been in a fight? Do you think
Obviously
I've been in a
not. There's no participation trophies in a fight.
'Cause you both lose.
No, there's always a winner, unless like the teachers come out and break it up or something. I mean, there's always a winner.
So masculine. So
Really, really. Well, well. Wait a second. I'm going to tell you that there were some
well,
girls.
well,
There's some girls in my neighborhood that could kick some ass. Okay, and I'm going to name some names. Okay, Connie Campbell, Terry Morganelli. These were some tough ass girls. Okay, these are some tough girls. My
This
God.
is a call
You
out.
think?
the alliteration. The
Oh, there's
alliteration girls
another
are
girl,
hard.
Carol Craig. Carol Craig. This girl could kick some ass. Listen, these girls were tough. Oh yeah, you never saw girls fight? I mean, really fight? These girls fought boys. Matter of fact, I think one of them pinned me. They ganged up on me. One of them got
Brittany
me.
Griner. Brittany Griner, no doubt. She could take you down.
That would be scary. Well, look, I think that, we've had a good show here. And I think that in the future, we're both going to be a little bit more prepared. And hopefully, we'll have our facts straight, at least when it comes to who's a Freemason, who's not a Freemason, who's the New World Order. I mean, Mikhail Gorbachev and George Bush Sr., they're the ones that started talking about the New World Order. And I think that what we should do is talk about this on our next podcast.
Okay, Steve. How about we talk about it on our next podcast and let's wrap up by saying one nice thing about each other.
Well, you look like Anne Hathaway a little. My God, she's gorgeous. I didn't realize that's who that we were talking about, but anyway.
And for you, Steve, I just want to say one thing I really love about you is all your recollection of names from way, 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 way back. Like you can remember those girls, you can remember some very specific names. I like that.
Yeah, well, you'd remember their names too if they beat you up.
All right, Steve. I love you.
I love you too.
I'll talk to you
Guys.
in the next episode.
Bye, guys.
Bye, Sam.
Bye, Samuel.